Thanks, guys, for tuning in to Loopback, the Hidden Frequencies podcast post-show, where we dive behind the scenes on each episode after each weekly re-listen, and we talk to various writers and voice actors who were involved in each episode. Tonight, we have Patrick Rieger, writer of Rough Sketch. Thank you, Patrick, so much for taking the moment and talking to us about Rough Sketch.
Thanks, Patrick. Glad to be here. Glad we could say the name Patrick twice. So it's going to be really easy to follow us on a podcast with both of us saying Patrick at the same time.
That's right, yeah. To kick things off, one of the first questions we have is, were the events of this story inspired by anything in your past and your career?
Well, it's something that Mick and I relate to a lot. So just to give you a little backstory, Mick and I know each other going back now about 12 or 13 years. I was originally, when I was first starting out, interested in voiceover work. And so I took some of Mick's cartoon animation voiceover classes. So that's how he and I connected originally. And it was a really fun class, but while I was in that class, I found myself having more fun writing copy that Mick and his students would perform than actually doing the voiceover work. So that kind of led to a bigger transition in me becoming an animation writer full-time rather than a voiceover artist full-time. But yeah, I'd say it pulls from inspiration that I have from just loving all things cartoon voiceover related and the Foley that artists get to use when they're recording sound effects and things like that. That was kind of where the germ of inspiration came up from this one.
Right, yeah. And one thing about this series is it's very much entrenched in the echoes of The Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone. Did you have to go back and do some research on that type of storytelling with the twist ending, or is that something that you were already familiar with being a fan of and stuff?
Yeah, I think the toughest things are for this project, first of all, I love Twilight Zone. I love old Twilight Zone episodes and kind of seeing how to turn them into morality tales while also still getting to enjoy all the visuals and all of the suspense that they bring out. This one, from the beginning, we always knew we wanted to do something in like the animation voiceover world. So we wanted to start it at that point. It took a little bit of getting a sense of the tone. Again, it was the first episode that we were, going from start to finish. And so we were figuring out the structure of what the series would be as we went along. So it took a little bit to just kind of get the sense of where we were going structurally. But once we figured it out, it was a pretty straight path after that.
So how long did it take you to write Rough Sketch?
So the episode scripts are about 30 pages or so, like 25 to 30 pages. So I just treated it like I'd treat like a regular episode of TV. So there's the outline stage, which takes about a week. Turning it into a script takes about another week. And then Mick and I did a pretty detailed notes pass on this one to get it, just right. So we probably did another week or two just on the notes to get it set. So yeah, it's like three weeks worth of work. That's about as much time as I'd spend on like a regular animated script. But I really feel great about how streamlined the process was.
So you've worked on various titles such as DC Superhero Girls. How was the tone going from something as animated and bright and vibrant as that, going to something that's more concrete and based in reality and has a little bit more of a darker tone?
Yeah, that was easily the hardest part of this, was having very specific visuals in my head of what I was seeing the project look like, and then having to translate it to the podcast audio format where you're not going to be able to see any visuals, any sort of cartoon imagery. It's all going to be up to the listener's imagination in order to be able to figure it out. So that was really the bulk of where the notes were on this one. Mick would come back to me and be like, we've got to be even more specific about what kind of action line we want here, because we're going to have to figure out the sound effect for that's going to make it clear for our audience. So there were a couple of key moments in that one. I remember I think we have like a lighter sound effect. The lighter was a really key one in the story, to indicate fire and smoke. There were a couple of other moments like that too, where just little actions like a character throws something and then picks something up. We have to spell that out super clearly in audio, so that it's going to be just as clear as possible for listeners.
So after the episode dropped and was released to the public, how much of the performances from the voice actors and the entire presentation, how much did that differ, and how similar was it to what you had in your own head?
Oh, it was great. It was super fun. It was even better once we were in the recording studio and we got, seasoned pro voice actors that did our voices. It was everything I was hoping for. The actor, I can't remember the actor's name now, but the one who plays Morris the Moose, just nailed it. Like it was exactly the voice I had in my head, which was really perfect. It was a lot of that. That's one of the benefits of doing something like this with Mick, is he has such a pool of talent that he can pull from his classes and his voice connections. And so when you write really silly, exaggerated, animated characters, you're going to get, top level people for that. So that was definitely the most fun part of hearing it live and then hearing the recording later once everything was mixed together.
Right, yeah. So is there anything you would like to say to these listeners who just got done with the weekly re-listen of Rough Sketch?
Thanks so much for listening to it. It was a really fun process with Mick. Again, his friendship and our friendship goes back like 10 years, and this really was a passion project for both of us on this one. I think it speaks to a lot of the things that we love about audio storytelling, and it brings back memories like Who Framed Roger Rabbit mixed with like great Twilight Zone episodes. And so we really felt like we had a lot of fun with the blend, and we hope that fun was conveyed well when you were listening.
So 2020 was a year that completely rocked the entertainment industry as far as getting stuff produced and getting out in time. Are there any projects that you can talk about or you want to promote for 2021?
Yeah, I consider myself very lucky in that animation really didn't slow down too much, and most of my work is in preschool and 6 to 11 audience animation. So my work really hasn't slowed down, even though we were dealing with the pandemic, so I got lucky. The projects I can announce right now, one show is called Stillwater, and that's available on Apple TV Plus, and I was a writer for that. And then I'm on the writing staff of a new DC show that I can't really talk about too much, but that'll be coming out in 2022, I think. So stay tuned for more updates there.
Well, it seems very exciting. Can't wait to check all of that out as it comes out. Thank you so much, Patrick, for taking a moment and talking to us about this very first episode of the Hidden Frequencies Rough Sketch. Really appreciate it.